Jace, what have you done? What have you done? How could you?
Will you let him die in vain?
House of the Dragon Season 3 Episode 1 just drops its premiere episode and absolutely destroys us. The Battle of the Gullet has finally arrived, and it came in swinging harder than anything this show has ever delivered. Dragons burning ships, swords meeting flesh in the cold open water. A war that has been simmering for 2 full seasons now erupting into something that cannot be undone. Jace is gone. Vermax is gone. And if you thought you were prepared for that, you were lying to yourself. This is the House of the Dragon Season 3 premiere breakdown, and we are going to walk through every single thing that happened. Let's start where the episode starts. The very first thing House of the Dragon Season 3 does is throw you directly into the war. And before we even get to the Battle of the Gullet itself, the music has changed. The very first character we land on is Rhaena Targaryen. And if you are sitting there thinking, wait, she is supposed to be in Pentos with her half-siblings, you are absolutely right. She is not supposed to be here. Rhaena, the daughter of Daemon, played brilliantly by Matt Smith, is out in the wilderness near the Vale, and she is attempting to do something that people have insisted cannot be done. She is trying to bond with Sheepstealer. Now for those who need a refresher, Sheepstealer is a massive, wild, deeply unpredictable dragon, one of the most powerful unclaimed dragons in the world. And the reason people say he cannot be bonded is because he is exactly the kind of creature that does not want to be tamed. He has made that very clear to everyone who has tried. But Rhaena does not care about what other people say cannot be done. She climbs on. And Sheepstealer, true to his reputation, immediately tries to throw her off. The ride that follows is not graceful. It is not the kind of majestic dragon bonding scene you might have imagined. It is wild and dangerous and terrifying. And Rhaena is holding on with everything she has while this enormous beast tries to buck her into the sky. But she stays on. And by the time their flight ends, something has shifted. We will come back to Sheepstealer and Rhaena later, because this moment at the top of the episode pays off in a way that is both spectacular and deeply complicated before the hour is done. From there we move south, and we check in on someone who is also very much not where he is supposed to be. Aemon Targaryen is in King's Landing. Cast your mind back to the end of Season 2. Alicent specifically told Aemon to leave King's Landing. The plan, as established between Alicent and Rhaenyra through their tense, difficult, emotionally loaded negotiation, was that Aemon would withdraw, Rhaenyra's forces would be allowed to enter the city, and some version of an arrangement would be reached. Aemon is not following that plan. Instead, he is in King's Landing looking for his brother Aegon, the king, who you will recall suffered catastrophic injuries during the Battle of Rook's Rest at the end of Season 2. The search does not go the way Aemon hoped. He discovers that both Larys Strong and Aegon have already left the city. They are gone. And before Aemon can process what that means or figure out his next move, everything gets dramatically worse. Forces loyal to Rhaenyra and the Blacks catch up with Aemon and his companions on the road. This is a confrontation that could go several different ways. And for a moment it almost feels like there might be some kind of negotiated outcome. But Aegon, injured and stubborn and constitutionally incapable of making the smart choice, refuses to swear allegiance to Rhaenyra. He will not do it. Not even with his life on the line. And so Larys, being Larys, does what Larys always does. He calculates. He looks at the situation with those cold, precise eyes of his, and he discloses their true identities to the man who has captured them. He does not do this out of surrender. He does it because he is making an offer. He tells the captor plainly and without flinching that whoever delivers these 2 men to Queen Rhaenyra will be rewarded beyond measure. He is weaponizing their own capture. The man who takes Larys up on that offer is played by Dylan Smith, whom many of you will know from Rings of Power. He kills the soldiers who were traveling with Larys and Aegon, but he keeps both men alive. He is smart enough to know that the value is in the delivery, not the kill. And so he begins the journey to Dragonstone, where Queen Rhaenyra waits. This is an enormous development that ripples through the entire rest of the episode, because Aegon being in enemy hands is not just a personal matter. It changes the political calculus of the entire war in ways that we are only beginning to understand. Now let's go to Dragonstone, because that is where Rhaenyra is, and she is not sitting still. She is in full war mode, flanked by her allies making plans. Her son Jacaerys, better known to everyone as Jace, is with her, and he is trying very hard to get his mother to slow down, to pump the brakes, to honor the arrangement she made with Alicent. The deal, as established, was that Aemond would leave the Riverlands, Rhaenyra would hold off on flying to King's Landing, and there would be some kind of controlled transition of power. Jace is urging his mother to stick to that plan, to give Alicent's arrangement a real chance to work, to not just fly in with dragons burning and take everything by force. Rhaenyra listens to her son with the expression of a woman who has heard this argument before, and has already made up her mind. She tells him plainly, in 2 days they fly to King's Landing. That is it. The conversation is over. And watching Jace's face in that moment, knowing what we know about what is coming for him in this very episode, is genuinely difficult. He is trying so hard to be the voice of reason in a family, and a war that does not reward reason. Meanwhile, on the other side of this conflict, Alicent is making her own journey back. After her trip to Dragonstone to negotiate with Rhaenyra, which was one of the most emotionally loaded sequences in all of Season 2, Alicent returns to King's Landing. And what she finds when she gets there is complete chaos. The arrangement she worked so hard to broker, the deal that cost her enormous political capital and personal anguish, is already falling apart. Aegon and Larys are gone. But in their absence, Aemond has done something staggering. He has placed himself on the Iron Throne. He is now acting king. And he has not been idle while sitting there. Alicent arrives to discover that her son has been making deals and moving pieces without her knowledge or approval, and the look on her face when she realizes the full scope of what he has done is something between fury and despair. Here is what Aemond has done. First, he has made arrangements for Ormond Hightower, Alicent's cousin, to march 15,000 soldiers toward King's Landing. 15,000. An army designed to protect the city from Rhaenyra's forces. Second, and more immediately consequential, he has arranged for the Lannisters to bring in the Triarchy. Ships and soldiers sent specifically to break the naval blockade that Lord Corlys Velaryon has established at the Gullet. Corlys has had that blockade in place as a strategic chokehold, preventing supplies and reinforcements from reaching King's Landing by sea, and it has been working. Aemond intends to end that by force. Alicent is standing in the middle of all of this, realizing that her son has moved the entire board while she was gone, and that the peace she tried to build, the arrangement she sacrificed her relationship with her family to create, is already dead. But while things in King's Landing are looking grim for Rhaenyra's cause at the strategic level, out in the Riverlands the picture is very different. Daemon is there, and Daemon is winning. His forces are tearing through Lannister soldiers with the kind of brutal efficiency that Daemon has always brought to everything he does. The Lannisters are running. After the battle, when the immediate fighting is done and Daemon is already planning how to hunt down the soldiers who escaped, the scene gets interrupted by something unexpected and genuinely thrilling. Out of the trees, from the north, comes Roderick Dustin. People know him as Rhodey the Ruin. He leads the Winter Wolves, men from the north who are allied with Rhaenyra and the Blacks, and they are a sight. Hard, cold, northern warriors who have marched a very long way because they believe in this cause. And to announce just how seriously they are here to help, Roderick throws something at Daemon's feet. The body of Jason Lannister. The battle in the Riverlands is, for now, decisively won. Elsewhere in the Riverlands, things are considerably quieter, and considerably more uncomfortable. Criston Cole and Gwaine Hightower are in the forest with their garrison waiting. They are waiting for Aemond and Vhagar to return, and provide them with cover and direction. And while they wait, their soldiers are doing what soldiers who have nothing to do tend to do. They are drinking. They are fighting. They are assaulting local people, which is both morally horrifying and strategically disastrous. Gwaine tries to get Criston to do something about it. He makes the case that this behavior is going to cost them allies and make enemies out of people who might otherwise stay neutral. Criston, who has taken to painting as a way of managing the particular cocktail of guilt and purposelessness that appears to be his current emotional state, does not bite. He is not interested. Those two are stuck, and their stuckness has a kind of sad energy to it, like men who know they are on the losing side but have not quite admitted it to themselves yet. Not far from Criston and Gwaine, Also in the Riverlands, somewhere near Harrenhal, we meet 3 men who are going to become very important as this season develops. This is our first look at 3 of the dragon seeds in Season 3. Adam of Hull, bonded to Sea Smoke. Hugh Hammer, bonded to Vermithor. And Ulf White, bonded to Silverwing. These are the ordinary people, the lowborn men who were given the extraordinary gift of dragon riding. And right now they are sitting around talking about how boring their lives currently are, about how long they have been waiting, and crucially about how Rhaenyra is going to compensate them for everything they are doing and everything they are risking. These are not men who are fighting out of loyalty to a cause or belief in Rhaenyra's claim. These are men who made a transaction, and they want to know what the return on that transaction is going to look like. That conversation, that mercenary undercurrent running through the Dragonseed storyline, is going to have enormous implications before this season is over. Watch these 3 very carefully. Over near Driftmark, we get one of the more quietly emotional scenes in the episode. Corlys Velaryon meets with his son Alan of Hull. Not his acknowledged son, not his legitimate heir, but his actual son, one of the 2 lowborn boys he fathered and then denied for most of their lives. He sits with Alan and explains the situation. Rhaenyra needs ships. The plan is to move on King's Landing. Alicent is, in theory, giving Rhaenyra the throne. Alan is confused by that, which is understandable, because it does not entirely make sense. But more importantly, Corlys does something in this scene that he should have done a long time ago. He apologizes. He looks at his son and he acknowledges what he did, or rather what he failed to do, by not claiming Alan and his brother Adam as his own children. He tells Alan that he is going to try to make it right. It is a quiet, understated moment in the middle of an episode that is about to become very loud and very brutal. And it lands. Before either of them can say anything more, the alarm bells start ringing on deck. Something is coming. Something big. The Triarchy has arrived. Jericho Lohar, commanding the Triarchy fleet alongside someone named Abigail Thorne, has joined forces with the Lannisters under Tywin Lannister. And just to make this even more personal, Lohar makes her intentions crystal clear almost immediately. She is not just there to break the blockade for the Greens. She has a vendetta. Corlys is a personal enemy, and she intends to destroy his home, Driftmark, along with everything else. This is not just a military operation for her. It is a settling of scores. Corlys, understanding that he is now facing something beyond just a tactical threat, sends a raven to Dragonstone. He needs dragons. He needs them now. And then quickly, in rapid succession, several things happen that are each important in their own right. Sheepstealer returns to Rhaena. After leaving her earlier in the episode, after that wild, terrifying flight, he comes back. And this time when she approaches, he lets her. He invites her. The bond is real. Rhaena Targaryen has claimed one of the largest, most dangerous, most untamable dragons in the world. And in any other episode that would be the headline. At Dragonstone, Alicent has found her way back and she seeks out Aemond's brother, her son Aemond, who is not the one on the throne, to tell him something important. She apologizes to him. And then she tells him clearly and without ambiguity that he needs to leave King's Landing. He needs to go to Harrenhal, or he is going to die. What follows is one of the more genuinely uncomfortable moments in the episode. Aemond kisses his mother goodbye in a way that is not entirely what a son's kiss should be. And it is weird, and the show knows it is weird, and Alicent looks like she is holding about 15 different things together at once as she watches him leave. She promises to meet him at Harrenhal when she has gotten herself out of King's Landing safely. Then we meet, briefly, Daeron Targaryen, Alicent's youngest, the dark-haired young man who has been raised by the Hightowers in Oldtown. Far from all of this chaos, he appears behind Ormond Hightower, and with him is his dragon Tessarion, the blue one, which is a beautiful and striking visual for anyone who has been keeping track of all the various dragons in this story. Alicent's message reaches Ormond, and her instructions are clear. Make camp. Wait. Aemond will be coming to join them. The pieces are being moved into position for something later in the season, but right now there is something more immediate to deal with. At Dragonstone, the raven from Corlys arrives. Baela brings the news to Rhaenyra. The blockade is under attack. The Triarchy and the Lannisters are hitting them hard and Corlys needs help immediately. Rhaenyra goes into battle mode so fast it is almost startling. She is sharp and decisive, and every inch the commander she has been positioning herself to be. But Jace, her son, is not on board with the plan. He does not think his mother should go to the Gullet. The risks are too high. He does not want her in that battle. So he does something that is both loving and deeply consequential. He has his ally Sarah lure unlock Rhaenyra in her chambers so she physically cannot join the fight. Which, to be clear, is not going to end well for anyone's relationship with the queen. But in the moment, Jace makes the call. He is protecting his mother the only way he can. He and Baela saddle their dragons, Vermax and Moondancer, and they fly out to meet the battle. Rhaenyra is absolutely furious. Locked in her chambers while her son flies into a naval war without her. But as angry as she is in that moment, it is nothing compared to what she is about to feel. The Battle of the Gullet is everything. When Jace and Baela arrive on their dragons, the situation in the water is already catastrophic. Ships are burning. Men are dying. The sea is full of debris and fire and people drowning. And it is hard to tell in the initial chaos who has the upper hand. Then the dragons arrive and the tide begins to shift. Jace on Vermax and Baela on Moondancer begin doing what dragons do. Burning the Lannister and Triarchy ships, clearing the water, turning the battle around. For a moment, just a moment, it looks like this is going to be an overwhelming victory. And then Lohar does something that proves she has thought very carefully about how to fight dragons. She shoots Vermax with an arrow attached to an anchor. Not just an arrow. An anchor. The weight drags Vermax downward, threatening to pull the dragon and Jace both beneath the surface of the water. A dragon in the water is not a dragon anymore. It is a drowning animal, and Jace is about to drown with him. Moondancer swoops in. Baela cuts the line connecting the arrow to the anchor. Vermax is freed. They survive. And then both dragons unleash absolute destruction on the ships below. It is extraordinary and visceral, and the kind of large-scale battle sequence that reminds you what this show is capable of when it fully commits. Meanwhile, Corlys is doing something tactically brilliant and personally reckless. He lures Lohar and the Bitchfist, her flagship, away from the main battle and into a narrow strait. The ships following her are too heavy for the shallow water, and they run aground. But Lohar is committed. She throws Tyland Lannister and his men overboard, in their armor, into the water, to lighten the ship enough to follow. And follow she does. The two ships, Corlys' vessel and the Bitchfist, collide in that narrow channel in a crash that shakes both hulls apart. What follows is a hand-to-hand fight between Lohar and Corlys, two people who genuinely hate each other, fighting in the wreckage of their ships while the water rises around them. It is bloody. It is brutal. And then the ships break apart completely and both of them are thrown into the water.